It's Train Time, episode number 6, starting right now.
In compliance with COPA, this video is not for children under the age of 14. Your discretion is advised. Sponsored by Canadian Model Railroad.ca and by donations from patrons like you. Further support provided by Miniprint.ca. Make your layout come alive with the 3D creation of Miniprint.ca. And now on with the show with your hosts, Peter and Joe.
Well, welcome to episode 6 of It's Train Time for June of 2020. Today on the show we'll have first coming to is an answer to the question of Rick Altman in regard of the Alco and their Canadian natural habitat. Second, we'll have the photo of the month like usual. Third, we'll have a narrow gauge railroad, the railroad SN3 of Bill Black. Number 4, we'll have a view from above from Dan Scheidell. And we will close the show this week with mail in transit. So how the RPO of the USPS were working. It's a black and white old movie that you will probably enjoy. So Peter, we got a good selection again this month.
Yes.
We thanks the viewer to have send a question like Rick and some others that have brought some suggestion in regards of electronics and also the question about tricks for doing scratch building, which will be coming in on the coming months of the show. So Peter, what can you tell us about the Alcos? Mike Altman asked to see Alcos in Canada.
Yes, after episode 5, we had the request from Mike Altman.
Yep.
And he was looking for some Alco 630s in their natural Canadian habitat. And Mike, hopefully this episode will cover your request. We have on our team one of the members, Tony Zerba, actually worked for CPR in the 70s.
Yep, he was working on the Rockies.
Yes, he went from Winnipeg and worked for about 5 years on the coal trains in BC. These coal unit trains ran the coal from the mines to Roberts Bank coal terminal on the west coast. Tony began as a brakeman out on the west coast on the coal trains, and after about a year and a half he said he ended up being a conductor, so he moved up fairly quickly. Tony's section that he actually worked on was between North Bend and Roberts Bank. According to Tony, 3 trains ran in each direction 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. That's 3 full trains, 3 empties.
Yeah, and matter of fact, all those trains were tied into Alco 630s,
Yes.
which was the century part of the MLW. That
Right.
was located on the manufacturer was located on the corner of Hochelaga and Dixon in Montreal.
Yes, all of the coal trains are actually powered by the 630s, and they were actually built specifically to power those trains.
Yeah, and
the
to do
time.
the coal.
Yes. On Tony's section, according to what he told us, his trains would usually have two lead Alcos, and the lead Alcos numbers were always in the 4500 series.
On the 4000.
Yeah,
Yeah.
4500s.
Yeah.
And his train would have two mid-train locomotives with a robot car that was used for control at that time.
Yeah, they used the robot car, if I understand well, just for a few years, and then they discontinued the robot car and replaced it with another Alco.
Yeah, I think from what Tony was telling us, they had some control problems with the robot cars.
Yeah.
Anyways, and then as the trains progressed towards Revelstoke, to handle the grades, they would add on at least two more pusher units at the end. So that was at least 6 locomotives once they got into the grades.
At one time, he even had more locomotive than that.
I think we have a video that we'll mention later on that covers a lot of that. Tony is also documented, and he's given us the photos to build into, but he's documented all of the locomotives that he has worked on for CP. And so thanks to Tony, we have a sequence of photos of the Alcos Tony worked on while he was in BC. Tony's section ran from Mission, BC to Roberts Bank, and it had a number of interchanges that they had to go through. Between Page and Livingston, trains were governed by CN. Between Livingston and Pratt, trains were governed by BC Hydro.
Yeah.
And between Pratt and Roberts Bank, trains were governed by BCHB Railway.
Which had something to do also with the Burlington Norton.
Yes, and so it became very complicated getting trains to and from Roberts Bank because of all the other railways governing how they ran and when they ran.
And their rules.
Yeah. But once the loaded trains arrived at Roberts Bank, they were turned over to the longshoremen to unload. And according to Tony, the unloading usually took at least about 2 hours. So CP used that time to call in the next crew that would take over the train once it was empty, and that gave them the 2-hour call-in allowance that was required for bringing in crews. So again, we thank Tony for his documentation and info on the Alco 630s that were built from 1969 to 1971 for those coal trains. Tony is he's even got in his HO train collection, he's got his Alcos that he worked on,
and the drags and of coal and so on. And we certainly hope that we will bring you that video very shortly of that train on our layout upstairs.
Yes.
Right now we cannot do it for this specific show for the simple reason that unfortunately we had a little electronic and electric problem to fix. So
yes.
It kind of put a kibosh on our plans in here to bring you that, but that video is coming very shortly.
Yes.
Remember to like us, subscribe, and click the bell so we can notify you when new videos are uploaded. Visit us at our website www.canadianmodelrailroad.ca.
Number 4502 we have two pictures of. One is in the old color scheme of CP in the gray and Tuscan,
Majority of them, Peter, I believe they were received that way and then repainted.
There were a lot of them that were repainted in some of the research that Tony had documented.
Yeah, all the multi-mark. Eh?
Yeah. Some of them even had changes in numbers, which I touch on with one of them. And that second picture, of course, of 4502 is with the newer, at that time, the newer multi-mark color scheme. The next picture, special pictures, is of number 4552, and we have two pictures, one intact. The other picture is the wreck of 4552, which occurred March 17th, 1974 at Spence's Bridge. Now, significance of this is that this wreck occurred 2 hours after Tony's crew had turned the train over to the next crew at North Bend.
Yeah, they were going with empty.
Yes.
They're going back with empty.
So Tony was basically 2 hours away from being in the wreck himself.
Yeah, not being with us.
Yeah. Yes, because in that wreck there was two crew members that were killed.
Yep.
One was the engineer and the other the brakeman. The conductor on the train survived, and here's an argument for cabooses. He was in the caboose that were still being used at that time, and so he survived the wreck.
He never said, Tony never said when they stopped using the caboose on that specific run.
No, I think, I forget what year cabooses kind of died out in general, but
yeah,
you always knew the end of the train with a caboose.
Yeah, well, it's some unit train for a while that still had it, and then it disappeared. But lucky to us, Tony's still with us.
Photo of 4563. This locomotive was built in 1969, actually a CP 4575, and was later renumbered. And in its career, it was later donated to Expo Rail. And this one is in one of the YouTube videos that we'll mention later.
And matter of fact, Peter, I saw that unit at Expo Rail, which is in Dalson in Quebec. When I did a trip down there a few years ago, I visited the Expo Rail, which is a fantastic museum, and that unit was there. And it's pretty pristine, matter of fact, for the age of the locomotive.
Yeah, in that video it looks really good.
It's pretty nice.
Yeah. The other kind of significant number was 4573, and it was built in 1969. It later became Minnesota Commercial number 73, around about 2002. So that's...
So that one went to the American side.
It went to the American side, yes. Most of these Alcos that Tony documented, unfortunately, were retired, stripped for parts, and eventually scrapped by the late 1990s because newer power units were coming online. So they were a dying breed. We have two YouTube videos, and of course we can't show them. You have to go and look at them for yourself. But if you like to check them out, we have Vintage CP Alco /MLW, Montreal Locomotive Works, Locomotive 4563, cab view and notching, and that's the one that's with Expo Rail.
Yeah, that's right.
And this is actually a video that Tony found for us, Canadian Pacific Railroad Unit Train Operation Coal Mining Supertrain 42724. So if you look those up on YouTube, that one really gives a look at the coal trains that Tony worked on.
Yeah, I think that video was taken a little after and the time that Tony worked at.
Yeah.
But it technically is exactly the same thing as what he was doing.
Yep.
So, and there's a few pictures also that you will see towards the end, and that has been taken by Tony when he was on the locomotives in there. When they arrived to Roberts Bank. You can see the boat in there with the coal on it, and you see where they were, some photo where they were unloading those cars,
Yep.
you know. So it's what, 3 or 4 pictures in there
Yep.
that he took, but those pictures have been taken by Tony.
Yes.
So
Again, we'd like to thank Tony for his info and his interview with us, and all the documentation that he has done on the Alcos in particular, but also on all of the locomotives that he's worked on.
oh, absolutely.
So thanks again to Tony.
Well, fellows, we have received quite a few 3D print from Mini Prints, and we have a special project that will be coming in online here soon, which will give you somewhere around probably 10 to 15 how-to videos. Some of them would be integrated with the show. And so to be able to do that, we had to add some very specific orders that were not in the market anywhere, that you cannot find. And Bernard Hellen, the owner of miniprint.ca, has reproduced them to the point that they are exact replica on 3D prints, which would be perfect. Now, also, I have to point that his library of figures, animals figures, wildlife, and so on, is probably the biggest collections of animal you can find, you know, on 3D printing. Some of them have been done because of special orders that we have done, but I can tell you that when you look at those figures, at those animals, it's like looking at them in their natural habitat.
Oh, the detail
is just unreal.
Wonderful.
Right now he's trying to do for us a series of vultures, you know, because that was about the only one he didn't have, and that is one that we need a certain quantity of for that project. So he had tried them. He was not that successful with them, he says, so he's modifying a little bit so that they can be available to us.
But the Lund boats and motors that he's provided are
that's the exact
to what we were in it.
Yep.
Yeah.
As a matter of fact, he also done some figures for going into the boats, you know, with the safety vest and so on. Now, it'd been good to mention at this time about Mini Print that his web page would be kind of changing on the format that what it is now. You will be able to order HO, S, O scale, N scale, all under separate kind of column of store. And it will be not only having the wilderness animals, but you will have, well, the boats and some other accessories that you will be putting on your railroads and so on, coming in constantly on lines on that web page. So if you go once and you watch that web page and you buy certain items, and you go a week later, you will find something new again.
Make sure you recheck it and see what's new. You know.
Well, one of the concern is that the figures that are coming now from other suppliers a lot of them are European, and a lot of people have been asking to have figures that were Canadian and American,
Yeah.
with the vest that we have here and so on, and put in certain positions where they're doing the actual works, So that is one of the things he's working on. He did also a full body scan of his son.
Oh, is that right?
Yeah, and reproduce it on 3D, and that come out very beautiful.
Okay.
So Mini Print is very dedicated to model railroaders, okay, and is dedicated to produce the best product as possible. In the next show, and maybe just on a how-to, I will be conducting a review of some of the products that Mini Print has been selling to us.
Yep.
So feel free to go and visit miniprint.ca. The name will be in the comments and the description down there. You will see how you can connect with Mini Prints, and you will see how you can connect with the other video that we were talking about a little bit before.
Yep.
Remember to like us, subscribe, and click the bell so we can notify you when new video are uploaded. Visit us at our website www.canadianmodelrailroad.ca.
are hundreds of railway post offices, built and owned by the railroads and rented to the Bureau of Transportation of the Post Office Department. Called RPO cars and manned by hard-working postal transportation crews, they provide almost 500 million miles of valuable service every year. Men working the mail race the speeding train toward the next station. It's a driving force that keeps them on their toes and never lets them quit. Now watch how they catch mail on the fly with the help of a mail messenger. 10 minutes before the train is scheduled to pass a non-stop station, a mail messenger carefully hangs the special catcher pouch of mail. After it is securely fastened, top and bottom, he steps aside and waits nearby to witness the catch and receive any mail which may be thrown off. Aboard the train, local mail is being tied out as the clerk spots his landmark. This was it. Must get every letter package for this dispatch in the pouch and tied out. The race against time and speed was on. As soon as the last pouch was made ready, the clerk grabs his safety goggles and goes to his station. The engineer is required to signal the RPO car that they are approaching a non-stop station. And a dramatic moment is at hand. With one hand, he tossed the pouch out and down, assisted with his foot. With the other hand, he brought down the catcher handle, and the catch was made. A neat two-handed operation. To save the public precious hours and days in delivery, railway mail clerks sort and exchange great quantities of letters and printed matter. Yes, men and mail in transit speed the mail on speeding trains, affecting dramatic exchanges almost every minute of the day. A bullseye. The dispatch was delivered.
Good. So, Peter, what else is new in our modeling?
What we've been doing here?
Yeah.
Well, other than our electrical explosion, we've been working on Reeve Junction. It's nearing completion.
Well, the electrical problem kind of put us off skew to finish that project.
Off track.
Yeah.
We are talking about doing the Aikens Lake module as well, which is what a lot of this stuff from our buddy Bernard is.
We had a fishing resort.
Yeah. But we still are trying to work on our scenery on the CMR layout upstairs. Unfortunately, like Joe said, we had a little bit of a sidetrack that we still have to fix. So, and with that fix, we hopefully will have, like you said, the video of Tony's
Alcos,
coal train with his Alcos. Yeah.
Well, the project for the Aikens Lakes is a huge project, because that specific diorama is not really related to trains, because there's no trains around there.
Yeah.
It's a flying fishing resort, a 5-star resort,
Yeah.
and we have somewhere on the surrounding 150 fish to put in that lake when we build it. The module that we're building for that, the diorama, will be somewhere around 3.5 feet to 4 feet wide by about 6 feet to probably 7 or 8 feet long, because to represent that lake and all that resort the way it is, it will take a lot of room, because there's a lot of place on that resort where you go fishing that have a very specific point of interest.
Yeah.
So we sure hope that everybody like what is there. That would be mainly video on how to doing scratch built, because all these buildings have to be scratch built. It's no kits involved in there. And second, it would be on sceneries all around that lakes and different depth of waters and so on, and how to use those fish and those boat and those people, and on and on and on in that context. So we preview probably about 10 to 15 how-to video in there. Okay. So that would be an extensive project, and I'm pretty sure it will take about a year to complete. You know.
The other thing that we have coming up, we've had to with our COVID virus. We're working on rescheduling an interview with Barb Lang for her books. We don't have a date set on that yet. I don't.
No,
think,
we have to.
But with the relaxing of some of the restrictions on the COVID thing, we're looking into rescheduling that interview.
As a matter of fact, an email came in from Barb, and she was asking how come we didn't have the books already on our website for sale.
Right.
That will happen. The book will get into our web page for sales right after the interview with Barb.
Yes. Yes.
So, because right now we do not have the inventory other than the 2 copies here on the front that Peter owned. So, when we got the inventory for that, then we'll put it on the store.
Right. So, what else do we have? Reed Junction is, like I said, almost finished, and that's going to be a number of how-to videos.
Well, there's a project that is on the go upstairs, is the Steel River and the Joanne camping.
Yes.
I have received from Action Figures 2 trailers, camping trailers.
Yes.
That I had never heard about that company before. I look at the kits. They are, I will say, different from the usual kits that you see, and it's kit that I will have to pay a lot of attention when they are put together.
And one of them has an interior as well.
Yes, and so what I will do with that, Peter, I will put those when I build them as a how-to.
Okay, good, yeah.
So that way you will be made a little bit familiar with that kit. How did I heard from the kit is modeling with Nate. That was a YouTube video that he made on his channel, and he was doing a kit, matter of fact, from that company that was a structure, and I find it pretty intriguing, so I decide to order those trailers as a tryout.
Yeah.
Because they also got some other stuff that we've probably been interested in. So, other than that, definitely thank you to Dan Scheidell for the view from above.
Yes.
And very nice thank you to Bill Blacks for the narrow gauge railroad. That's a fantastic little video, and pictures of that railroad that was taken in 2018, and it now will grace our show.
Yes, and please continue to send in comments and requests. We're not always able to maybe answer requests right away. We were very fortunate this time that we had some homebody that had worked on Alcos, but
well, we got to make some research. There's no doubt about it, Peter. You have 3 different avenues to send us comments or suggestions. One is via our website, which is www.canadianmodelrailroad.ca, which is also or sponsor. The second one is via Facebook at Canadian Model Railroad or group there on Facebook. And the third one is just to send us an email. We got emails on the webpage, and on the Facebook you send us a private message. We suggest that you post some pictures and video that we can retrieve on the Facebook. The video, we prefer that you send them via the personal message. We like them raw, so that they not have been published yet, so that we can add them in consequence with the show.
Yes.
Other than that is pretty much everything right now in regards of the show for this month.
Thanks for watching.
Oh yes, we appreciate everybody that watched the show. Share it with your friends. Make sure that they subscribe. Subscribe below. We need the subscribers. We need the comments. Feel free. It doesn't necessarily have to be a comments that is positive. It could be negative, because we can turn the negative to the positive. We want to know it the way it is.
And make sure, whether you're in a group such as a club or doing your own layout, make sure you have fun modeling in trains.
Absolutely. So have fun modeling, guys. See you next time. Pleasure to have you aboard.
Take care.